Dan and Corey here, welcoming you into Libservative.
The great fundamental issue now before our people. We, the people, cannot turn back.
Yeah, welcome in to another rousing rendition of Libservative, intellectual idiots fostering political and cultural literacy, and the world's smartest podcast.
World's smartest podcast.
All of the opinions expressed on tonight's show are our own and not necessarily those of Libservative. No Bell the Body Snatcher tonight. We don't know where he is. Sometimes he just disappears. So you're gonna have to deal. We're gonna have to deal without him. You're gonna have to deal without him. But he is always Corey Walsh.
He's Dan Griffin, and I'm over here trying to figure out how to turn off notifications on my new laptop.
Boomer.
I heard, yeah. Well, so in the last episode, I heard it, and I don't know if it's because I was using the internal microphone. You have to let me know if you can hear him when I'm using the Shure mic. But
come on now, you expect me to believe that?
I kept hearing fucking dings. It's like, God damn it, leave me alone, would you? Just so popular, like, geez.
Oh my God,
like, leave me.
Speaking of boomers, I had the most boomer thought the other day as I'm driving around town. Tell me if you've noticed this before. What in the fuck is it with all of these like Taj Mahal sized car washes popping up all over the place? Are you noticing this?
I haven't, but I had a buddy about 5 years ago really trying to push me.
They look like castles.
To throw myself into debt to buy a turnkey operation of a car wash, and that it was like the next upcoming thing. And I kind of scoffed at him, and now they're fucking everywhere.
Wait, what is going on? Is it just that are less people
they're all getting
their cars by hand?
I think what it really is that they're all getting revamped, you know.
I don't know, man. There's new ones popping up on corners where they weren't before. Used to be like a Coney Island. Now all of a sudden it's a goddamn like a huge car wash. It looks like a damn castle.
Well, because now it's all about the service with it. Like they have the whole lot with the free vacuuming and stuff like that.
Come on now, you expect me to believe that?
It's just like a market bleeding into Michigan. And it was mostly like in the sunny states. Like they've always been that big and stuff. And it like Jack's and what's the other one? There's another one. But there's a couple big ones. Like they're just franchises that are just penetrating the market.
Like, what in the hell is with all these huge ass car washes?
Yeah, no, they're just. I mean, I'm okay with it. I got a monthly membership at the one right by my house. That's a nice.
Oh, yeah, for that new ride you got, huh?
Make sure you get that thing
washed your Ford Maverick.
Hey, man, I'm like, it was like buying a Ford Maverick as my first pickup is equivalent to like, come on, let me just put the tip in, just. Like I want to try it. I'm like,
Does your wife feel the same way about that?
No comment. I have children longer than me for 10 years. So,
did you see this?
I'm obviously laying pipe. I don't want to brag or nothing, but
certified swordsman Corey Walsh. Did you see this
before? Wait, that sounded like kind of gay, actually. That's not.
No, but I did notice weirdly. I've never docked either. Does that make me? Homophobe? Did you see that? Did you see this F-18?
Not that there's anything wrong with
it. Did you see this F-18 fall into the water off the USS Harry Truman?
Is there a video of it?
I don't think there is, and I think it's because the Navy doesn't want to show it. Because did you hear what their explanation for this was?
Yeah. So the official explanation, right, is like and it's all about the geopolitics of it.
Just a $30 million aircraft or whatever the hell it was. Oh, sorry. You're literally. Should we get the numbers right?
Quit downplaying shit, Dan. Like
That's
I heard
Trump's
one of
for
the
you.
narratives that I heard was that as the fucking Houthis shooting missiles at the Navy ships, and you know why the Houthis are so deadly accurate now? Because they're using a third-party company from China that gives them satellite geo-positioning fucking information and reconnaissance. And you know
Come on now, you expect me to believe that?
To be fair, I didn't actually look into it. Like that sounds like, well, that's actually something that doesn't sound too far-fetched in 2025. But
They never do.
but yeah, like homie was sitting in the driver's seat, and he took a little swerve and lost some cargo.
That is so fake. Yes, they're acting like it was that an aircraft carrier, a ship the size of the Empire State Building, just did an evasive maneuver and whoops!
No, I mean,
like,
I don't mean
listen. But wait a minute, because I know what you're going to say. But they're acting like an aircraft carrier does this evasive maneuver and an airplane just slides off like it's a water bottle in your passenger seat. Like I'm sorry, I just don't buy it. An evasive maneuver.
Those ships can't, like, Jesus, like 15, 20 degrees. And if it was a ship, and if it was a plane that like just landed from a patrol and it wasn't chalked and docked and tied down and all that stuff, I mean, I could see it. I don't know
I'm just picturing an aircraft carrier with like a handbrake, like it's fucking Tokyo Drift or something. It's still, because I was going to say that the only thing that has less maneuverability than an aircraft carrier, at least as far as military vehicles go, is probably Mitch McConnell within shouting distance of a flight of stairs.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
He's just no. But yeah, no, I mean, you could put anything, right? You could put like, you take your car and park it on a slant and then turn the parking brake off in neutral, it's going to start rolling. Airplanes do have wheels. Like, I get that the thing, like, I don't know, like, could it have been malfeasance? I really pray to God for as much as America does.
DEI?
No.
DEI.
For as much as America pokes and prods in international affairs and does sleight of hand tactics on third world countries and stuff like that, I really would like to think that we kind of have our shit together when it comes to our military, and that this wasn't just some guy holding onto the wheel and then going, holy shit, whales, and turning left or something. And then fucking
we have actual audio from inside the captain's quarters.
Everything's computer.
Trump was actually visiting that day. He's the one that actually grabbed the wheel
after he got off the McDonald's fryer.
Yeah, after checking out the McDonald's and I hope he's qualified. The mess hall. But no, I'd like to hope that our military has a little bit more fucking discipline. But when it comes to history, they're always fucking up with shit and stuff like that. But either way, whether the Houthis actually did shoot something at them or the guy fucking turned away from the wheel to text his wife, or someone bumped into him when he hit the wheel, I'd like to really think it was the Houthis. But it's awfully convenient that it's the Houthis with correspondence from China through a third party using satellite imagery to find out where the fucking ship was.
You trust your mother every night to fix your hot pockets and make sure your Game Boy is turned on.
Either way, yeah, we lost a $60 million plane off of a ship. And like, what's really funny is like, you know, shit always runs downhill. It's not going to be the captain that turned that wheel that's going to be busted. It's going to be the one guy that was sitting next to the plane that turned around to grab the chains, and all of a sudden the ship turned and he looked back and the ship was just yelling, adios.
The airplane was just gone.
I just picture this face like, oh, fuck.
What's coming out of your paycheck, buddy?
Guess what? You just involuntarily signed up for the military for the next 100 years.
Oh, man. I just thought it was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it sucks. It's like, fuck.
a ship that shouldn't have been where it was in the first place. That's just $60 million in your tax dollars. Gone.
Pete
Gone.
Hegseth was driving.
Was he drunk?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Just singing that fucking Jason Aldean song, like flying down a dirt road. But no, I only know that those things are actually pretty maneuverable because
It was the Ludacris remix,
was
though.
in the Navy. And they
I
can make some
guess.
pretty quick turns.
But like I said,
I'm pretty sideways, and whatever's not strapped in, they're gonna fucking lose. That's for sure.
I'm just picturing Tokyo Drift with the fucking handbrake.
He just fucking went to read for something, and you've driven a boat before, right?
Yeah.
You know how it's just a throttle.
Yeah.
He just went to read for something, and his sleeve caught the throttle and pulled it back, and it went into full reverse. The
Some DEI hire reaching for his People magazine.
Right, his handle just grabbed it when he was checking his watch. He was like, "Oh, I wonder what time it is," and fucking yanked the steering wheel.
Oh man, the other fun news I
have. What do you do with a drunken sailor? What?
The other fun news I have before we get into the real stuff is our boy, our congressional hero, George Santos, sentenced to 7 years.
Representative George Santos was a flash in the pan, and I will forever remember him. And it's gonna be like watching a super, super niche show,
Big Fat Pussycat.
And it's gonna be such a niche reference, and I'm like, yeah, George Santos, and people are gonna be like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I'm like,
nice. 20 years from now, it's gonna be like nice 2025 cultural reference, douche.
Yeah.
It's like somebody referencing how people have gone out of their way to reference Ross Perot lately, because he's his thoughts are kind of back in the lexicon. Just wait until George Santos's thoughts are back in the lexicon in 2045.
I do have down by all the haters out there.
That's right, George.
That's my message to George as he's going to prison.
I do have a video.
I know, dude, and it's so funny because he was such a piece of shit. He was such a piece of shit fucking representative. But one of our listeners, GTJ, messaged me and he goes, "Check it out." And he sent me the video of or the article about George Santos getting sentenced.
You're asking,
and they're I wanted to be like, "Oh man," dang it.
Because I mean, the podcast is going to go away now. That was going to have some serious pod fade anyway if it hadn't already.
Oh, I'm sure it did. It lost you already.
But I didn't even know that. By the way, I did not know that Matt Gaetz just got a job with OAN. I had no idea Matt Gaetz had a show.
The correct phrase he sent me. It was an article from CNN. Former Rep George Santos sentenced to 87 months for federal fraud charges, and he says, "Looks like he let the haters get him down." I just sent him a response of a gif of a sad walk where someone with their head down low walking looking really sad. And just said 7 goddamn years. And he goes, "Nice to see some accountability." And I was like, yeah, I wish there were many more who did many worse things, Held. He's such a small fish. I felt like defending him. And I was like, dude, come on.
Well, here's why he's defensible, right? Because he's the kind of person that was in government that did bad things that are bad things that nobody with any power also did and cares about it. So what I mean is it's nothing of substance. He didn't do anything of substance. So it's really easy to convict George Santos because he can't be like, well, you also did this thing. You also committed war crimes. You also took bribes. You know what I mean? He can't the crimes that they're putting him away for are crimes that it's, quote unquote, safe for the powers that be to put him away for. Or was a really roundabout way of saying that. I guess I just need more beer.
Big Fat Pussycat.
But I didn't know. I had no clue that Matt Gaetz just got a job at OAN. It was like when Jen Psaki left the White House and just took a job with MSNBC. I had no clue until this interview gets pulled up of Matt Gaetz interviewing George Santos after the sentencing came down. And tell me what you notice about this video.
Asking for 2 years in the filings you've made with the court. What do you plan to do with that time?
Look, number one is I plan to serve the entirety of any incarceratory sentence in solitary confinement because I fear for my safety. So it is definitely not an easy task, and it's a monumental one to do. But
are you allowed?
He fears for the safety of his squishy ass.
Look how crispy he looks. Like, look how
for solitary confinement.
waspy he looks just for this interview.
Who's
it looks
that,
like he's
Gates
already in his. And it looks like he's already in his prison cell.
That kind of does.
He's like, I like everything white. It's clean.
Where are the padded walls? That really does, though. I have to say, that looks like a gay man's living room. I mean, that is like perfectly decorated.
Oh yeah,
like,
dude. Yeah,
yeah.
He's gonna be folklore that nobody appreciates.
I'm with you, man.
Like if Madison Cawthorn doubled down and didn't just roll away from the whole scene, like
what you did there.
Madison Cawthorn could have really been the George Santos, but he came out and he's like, "Yeah, everyone was offering me coke and inviting me to orgies," and then everyone's like, "Shut up, liar!" And he was just like, "Okay." And he left. George Santos was like, "Fuck y'all! Like, I'm gonna burn this bitch down." Like,
in fact, George, if you're listening to this before you take your trek into prison, first of all, watch your squishy ass. But second of all, when that sentence is up, we would love to be your first interview.
Right. And I feel, and I also want to say that I feel like it's very, I don't want to use the word homophobic, but something similar. Did you hear that?
Did I hear what? Did I hear your notification? I did not.
Good.
Go.
I mean, so what I was getting at is, I think I don't know if the word homophobic is the word to use, but for people all of a sudden to just go on Twitter and go, "Yeah, he's gonna like prison," LOL. It's like I don't know.
I mean, like I just did.
Right. I mean, he might be a giver, he might be a receiver. What do you think? Look at his face. Look at
dude, he is so effeminate. He is such an effeminate man. He could be a power bottom, though. We always leave out the third category.
And now we're not going to know for 85 months. We should write him letters, dude.
I'm allowed to make an application for protected custody because of who I am and my former role as a member of Congress, and having stood on very, very defining subjects and issues that affect directly the people who are in prison. So I've been very strict on so many things we voted on together when we were in the House, Matt, that directly impacted folks who are there. So
do you
it
think
becomes a safety concern.
You were one of the leading people speaking out against MS-13 and these roving Chilean gangs that were robbing people. Do you think some of those gangs would retaliate against you if you were in a general population in prison?
Yeah, we're gonna boo for him.
I mean, if you look at the matters of everything I stood for in Congress and the type of people that we're targeting now that are already in custody, it's exactly the same people. So it's like putting a hen in the foxhole. So I just think that the appropriate thing would do would be protected custody. So
he thinks he's gonna be the hen in the foxhole.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's Barbara Streisanding himself right now, right?
Yeah, he is. Now they're really gonna want him.
But like, just watching him masterfully like con, right, and like manipulate and like do his little thing, right, like immediately creating like a relationship. And I'm nowhere near any sort of like psychoanalyst or whatever like that, but a bullshit, like I know what a bullshitter looks like, and he's over there and he's just like, yeah, just like me and you, Matt. Remember those good old times, buddy? Like, like trying to get him on his side. Like, fucking wild, dude. We should write him though. We should write him when he's in prison.
We totally should.
He was one of the worst representatives of the world. We should probably let him know that. Be like, hey, listen, we love you for
he doesn't need anybody to tell him.
So perfectly crafted, exposing through a caricature, because we don't even know if it's the real you. You were so good at the con that. You exposed essentially what all the other representatives are that are too afraid to fucking admit it. You just got busted because you got too high. You got too close to the sun, my friend. But We love you as a person. You're fucking hilarious.
Big fat pussycat.
Know any workers? But look at this guy.
Did you have something you wanted to play?
Look at him.
Oh, just a picture. Yeah. Oh my God. He like really bloated out the last few years, didn't he? He was kind of skinny.
He was bulking up for prison, buddy. I'm cultivating mass.
Adding some cushion. We hope George Santos has a wonderful prison stay. Like a Martha Stewart prison stay. I'm rooting for that for him.
Well, he's rich, so that's what he's gonna get. White collar crime.
Is he though? He owes a shit ton in restitution after this sentencing too. By the way, like 350,000 or some shit.
You know what? And that's the thing too, right? He's gonna serve his time, and Americans love a goddamn comeback story.
That's right. That's right.
That's one thing. Actually, like, it's funny because if you actually look up things on, like, when you get like Reddit groups and there's the questions like ask anything or whatever, and people would be like, what are things that you find that are really good qualities about Americans? Two of the most recurring things I saw, and there was actually our ADA compliance like laws were like wheelchair accessibility in America is better than any other country. Our interstate system, but a lot of them go, it's not as good as the train, but they do have good roads. And then
the drive through Michigan,
the comeback story. In America, you're almost looked better at if you fail and then succeed after, than just succeed right away. People that fail, exceed are looked at as like they're put on pedestals as that's the American dream. People that just succeed, we write them off as Nepo babies. They had a silver spoon, elitism. You know what I mean? Someone who makes it from the ground up and fails.
We have white privilege.
But like it's all Americans love that shit. It's the affirmation. Nobody, everyone gets pissed when the guy who just buys a fifth and a lottery ticket every night and goes home and drinks that fifth and then wins the lottery and pisses it all away. They're like, fucking idiot.
Including the guy who does that.
Including the guy who does that.
Isn't the suicide rate among lottery winners like really high? Or I might be making that up. Am I making that up? We don't have Bell here to find out.
Chat GPT it real quick. And because it kind of makes sense, right? You have someone who was at a low and then got a taste of the high and then was on a roller coaster of highs and lows, whether it was drug induced, hooker induced, sports cars, buying houses, betting, doing all of that shit. Because if someone bets and wins all that money, betting has worked out really well for them. So they're probably going to keep betting.
ChatGPT calls it a persistent myth that lottery winners often end up miserable or even suicidal, but the reality is more nuanced. Of course it is. Of course it's nuanced, you asshole. I just wanted to, whatever. It's not going to
ask it if it include like murders, drug overdoses, car accidents, include all of that.
Well, it does say many winners adjust well to their newfound wealth, while others struggle with the pressures that come with sudden financial windfalls.
Many winners adjust well.
Many don't.
Yeah, many don't. Thanks, Chat GPT. Make sure you say thank you because that's supposed to take over the world soon.
I'm going to say, thanks, bud.
It's going to be like, no problem. Do you have any other questions that you would like to have answered?
Always here to help. Catch you next time. Oh, man. Do you think another possible comeback story could possibly be this Judge Hannah Dugan out of Milwaukee? You've been following this case, I assume.
A little bit. I was gonna say a good comeback story right now would be the American economy. Oh, hey, oh. We got just the right guy in the White House, brother. I'll tell you what. Literally every economist is like, yeah, no, tariffs are a bad idea. One of the most famous ones, Tom Sowell, whose whole book is about fucking trade and like supply and demand. Like he's probably like, is Tom Sowell still alive?
He is, but he's very old.
He's probably just like, dude, what the fuck?
And what's funny is he's a guy that folks on the right quote a lot. Like, well, I shouldn't say folks on the right, but conservatives quote a lot. Is Tom Sowell? But anyway, this Judge Hannah Duggan's case. This is such. I go back and forth on how to feel about this because I feel like it's been so caricaturized and theaterized, along with much of what's going on regarding Trump's policies around immigration, and then the reaction to it. It's almost like it's like the LeBron James conundrum. You know what my LeBron James conundrum is, for those who haven't heard it before? I haven't mentioned it in a while. I'll tell you what it is. Who's more annoying, LeBron James himself or the people that hate LeBron James? Because you could argue that they're both equally annoying. And this whole border debate or deportation debate is exactly that. I don't know which side I'm more fucking annoyed with. So this case is Judge Hannah Dugan, I think it's Dugan. Judge from Milwaukee.
Oh, she looks Irish as fuck.
Dugan. She was arrested after escorting a man named Eduardo Flores Ruiz through a back door of her courtroom after she found out that ICE was trying to take him away while they were conducting the hearing. Following a pretrial hearing for a domestic battery case in which Flores Ruiz was accused of punching a roommate 30 times for being told to turn down loud music and striking a woman who tried to intervene. Also, he was already deported once in 2013 before returning illegally. So, guy sounds a little bit like a piece of shit, right?
Yeah. And so, but here's the thing. The libertarian,
he was getting his due process.
He was getting his due process, and the libertarian in me says he wasn't forced to come to that courtroom for a immigrant type of case, and he wasn't forced to come to that courtroom for any sort of or anything to do with ICE or anything like that, or his like citizenship or his legality of him being in this country. He wasn't there for that. And a judge who was super constitutional, who wanted to protect the rights of the people, it's good. I could completely see why that would be what they would say. But at the same time, I mean, like, that's the nuance of it, right? Like, did ICE announce itself being there to that judge prior? Like, the judge knew they were there. They didn't know they were there for him, as far as I know.
I'm not sure about the details there.
Like, because it's
all I know is
precedence there, right? Because like he was there, like you know what I mean. Like our legal process, like it's very, very distinct, very, very concise. So
right, but immigration law is a little different, right? So
immigration law is different, yes. What I'm saying is like immigration law is different, sure, when the case and being in front of a judge is about immigration. But this person wasn't there for anything to do with immigration. This person was there. Well, I don't even know what the case was for.
Oh, I just told you for
punching
his roommate 30 times and allegedly striking another woman who tried to intervene.
But in the eye of the law in America, it's supposed to be innocent until proven guilty.
Sure. With regards to that case, I can't believe I'm making the pro-deportation argument here, but I will. They were there to pick him up for another crime that he had committed, which was being here illegally. And I guess the further point that I want to make with regards to that is this is why it's such a big problem when folks on both the left and the right, depending on what your pet issue is, always being the boy who cried wolf, because I don't support the way that Trump has conducted these deportations. Corey, I don't think you do either. He hasn't done what he's promised with mass deportations. He said he was going to start with criminals, yet somehow we end up with like gay hairdressers and American citizens who say that Bibi Netanyahu has a small wiener being deported. So when you conduct the business that way for so long, and then you have a case here where it really does look like this guy was a piece of shit and was here not only illegally, but illegally twice. Now you're surprised when you get pushback, or you think it's awful when you get pushback because this judge does some sort of civil disobedience. Right. So
I get that. And like, it's very easy to argue that the judge was an activist judge, right? I'm thinking about it as like trying to put myself in like an actual judge's perspective who truly appreciates the Constitution.
Well, I think she could have done that pretty easily. She could have respectfully asked those ICE officers to just stay out of her courtroom, right? Because a judge does have control over their courtroom. That's and it's something the judges take.
Right, but they weren't in the courtroom; they were outside the main door. And I think all she said was, outside the front door, there's a bunch of ICE agents hanging out. You can go out the side.
No, she escorted them through the jury quarters and out the back door to avoid.
She actually escorted them.
Yes, it was an obstruction of justice. At least that's what the DOJ is claiming.
I can see the argument for an obstruction of justice. For the sake of the Constitution, I like to almost argue with what this judge did, but there's just as much argument with that very same Constitution against it. Like, you know what I mean? It's a nuanced one to me. I can understand completely why she got arrested and she got kicked off the court. I understand completely.
And you also see my point as to why the Trump DOJ, from a PR perspective, because of the way they've been conducting these weird raids. Now you have a case like this that actually looks like ICE might have been doing the right thing, at least as, people who are against quote unquote illegal immigration might want. Now you've already made yourself look so bad over the last few months, and now you're surprised when people come out and defend this judge.
Right. Me. I'm not surprised that people defend the judge. Like, obviously I never went to law school, but it's like, I can understand, like, for trying to hold the sanctity of the Constitution and due process and the law and all that type of thing, why a judge would do that. But I can also understand from the same exact argument that's like, you literally just obstructed justice.
Yeah, it's the boy who cried wolf. When the wolf actually comes, nobody believes you. And Ken Klippenstein wrote a pretty awesome piece with regards to this transparency from ICE and the Trump DOJ, as he puts it in the article, they run around raiding nightclubs, workplaces, and I don't think he said libraries. I added that part. with these nameless, faceless goons. And then you have this situation where it looks like they might actually be doing the right thing. I mean, obviously we can you can have an argument about that.
Yeah, there was nothing. Well, that's just it, right? There was nothing illegal against ICE waiting outside of a courtroom for people who might be on their list.
Ken's piece goes on to say, when federal authorities arrested Wisconsin Circuit Court Judge Hannah Dugan this week, they publicized photos of police escorting her into an unmarked vehicle, their faces blurred out so that so they couldn't be identified. Since Donald Trump came into office, the federal government is now routinely blurring out law enforcement's faces in its frenzy of triumphant social media postings and press releases containing photos of arrests and immigration actions in particular. They tell me it's for operational security, but I see something very different. An army of nameless, faceless goons whose anonymity reveals their alienation from the American public they're supposed to serve. Presumably, the White House thinks these G-men photo ops are good publicity for its immigration agenda. They instead smack of the exact politicization of the FBI and other agencies that Trump railed against during his election. Swarms of faceless immigration police are raiding workplaces, nightclubs, and other venues, carrying out arrests with the zeal of a cop manning a speed trap on the highway, and often with a photographer nearby. Nobody is above the law, FBI Director Kash Patel said in a post on X containing the photo of Dugan's arrest. But are they above transparency? The question appears in countless replies to virtually all of these triumphalists' social media posts, with angry users demanding to know the reason.
Are they above due process?
Is his point in the article is this. It's these federal agents running around conducting these raids and like taking these photo ops with just like these random illegal immigrants, and they're championing it all over social media like they just captured El Chapo and blurring all their faces out. Look at how great we are. We're the good guys. You can't know who we are, but we're the good guys.
Hey, Superman took his glasses off and he was a superhero.
Yeah.
So,
and on the other
there's
side
a
of
bunch
this,
of Superman and Batmans, Dan.
on the other side of this, while you can make the a really, really good argument, I think, in this case for an obstruction of justice charge against Judge Hannah Dugan. I think I made that case. I'm not sure it's the right one, but I completely get it. We have Andrew Weissman, a wonderful video of Andrew Weissman that was put together. I don't know who put this together. It's not really that important, but you're going to, I shouldn't play it. You're going to notice something very, very interesting about when he's discussing the stuff coming out against Trump a few years ago and talking about this particular judge. It's very, very interesting when people say that nobody is above the law. Who is it that they're actually talking about? So I'll go ahead and roll it. We don't have Bell here. Sorry, I was filibustering.
He is being treated no better or worse than anyone else. This is not selective prosecution. That this is not somebody who's singled out. That he is being treated just like anyone else. That is what it means to have a rule of law. That is what the Justice Department is really signaling and messaging here, is that everyone will be treated, as Merrick Garland has said, as, equally in this country. This is really a great day for America. So there has been a violation here that we know for sure, and it is not the judge. Right, exactly. You don't do it. Even if you thought that there was a ground for doing this, the judgment call that you thought that this is the case to bring, it tells you everything. There is no adult in the room who would have said, "Are you kidding me? Why would you possibly do this?" And the answer is because we want to send a signal to the judiciary. And that,
wow, isn't that fucking convenient? So as this,
because what's crazy about it is like, these elitists are getting hung up in some shit, right? But what happened with Trump after he got arrested?
Well, he didn't get arrested. He turned himself in. But
what happened after that?
But
where's he at now?
He's fine. He's the president of the United States. Okay. He's all good.
A judge just getting arrested, it does show a lapse, and it does show an overbearance of the federal government, just like it did with Trump. But when the rule of law itself is applied, probably going to end up okay. And I also find it interesting that this guy, obviously, I feel like there's a little bit of bias here, but make it objective. So when a person that's the chief, the chief commander in chief is arrested, it's
chief.
Okay.
Just call him the chief. I'm just going to start calling Trump chief.
But when someone of the actual judicial branch is arrested, then it's not okay. Where it's like objectively, like if you want co-equal branches of government, if one is being arrested, whether it be a political agenda or not, versus the other, whether it be a political agenda or not, why, other than like disliking the person himself, why be so opinionated on one for and then so opinionated against for the other? You know what I mean?
Because,
I don't know.
Because it is 100% political. So Weissman oversaw, was it the Mueller committee? I had it here in front of me not long ago.
So wait, he was like,
let's forget what he did. He oversaw the Enron scandal, which was a good one. He prosecuted.
He was what, like a state prosecutor or a federal prosecutor?
Yeah, he worked on the Mueller report. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, then there's clear bias. Like,
yeah, 100%. And so it was one of those. It was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a Mueller report. Of course, we don't have Bill to look it up for us, but he worked on one of those quote unquote witch hunts against Donald Trump, Russiagate, one of those, and he says that nobody's above the law when the guy that he's against is in trouble, but when somebody that is on his side is in trouble, well, this seems a little bit silly, right? This is just a little bit of civil disobedience. That's exactly what I've seen on Twitter basically this entire week. Oh, sometimes, maybe she did legally break the law, but man, when fascism's right around the corner, we got to do some civil disobedience.
Civil disobedience is people storming capitals, whether it's the federal or the state.
You took the point right out of my mouth.
That's like whether it was January 6th and with the we aren't allowed to say the R word on the show, but a bunch of idiots storming the Capitol. That's civil disobedience. It's civil disobedience.
No, Corey, that was terrorism.
So it's never happened from the left at the federal Capitol, but there's probably a handful, probably a baker's dozens examples of state houses being overran by liberals and people on the left doing the same exact thing.
I guarantee you there's audio somewhere. I guarantee you there's
blocking traffic is civil disobedience.
I guarantee you there is audio somewhere of Andrew Weissman saying something to the effect of January 6th was a domestic terror attack or something close to that. So again, it's civil disobedience when your people are doing something against the other side, but it's nobody's above the law when the other side's doing something against you. It's you see how this is just all theater. Like the whole thing, it's all political theater. The arrest of this judge was political theater, even if you could argue that she did commit an obstruction of justice. That's fine. Like I'm not arguing like the legality of it, but the reason it was done was for political theater, just like the January 6th hearings were political theater, just like the fact that what's his name, the guy with the horns on January 6th was sentenced to like 20 years or whatever.
I'm really bummed I don't remember his name.
Andrew. No, not Andrew. Something. I don't remember his name. I wish I could remember his name. But yeah, like him getting put away. Him getting put away. Like this is all. It's all political theater to make you hate the neighbors that like whatever that political party is. It's all nonsense. Anything you want to finish up with on this topic? Nobody's above the law, Corey, unless they're on our team. You know this. You better.
That's what I got to say. That's all I got to say about.
They're cheating.
That.
They're crooked. They're corrupt.
Thanks, Trump. Took the words right out of my mouth.
We are through his first 100 days, Corey.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Shall I go through a brief checklist here? First of all, we're going to get into this at the end of this brief conversation about Trump's first 100 days, but I kind of thought we were going to make it 100 days without articles of impeachment. And Sri Thanadar had to ruin that. So let's talk about some of the stuff that Trump promised to do within his first 100 days. Ending the Ukraine war. Nope, didn't happen. Mass deportations. They make you think it's happening, but it's not. The numbers bear that out. Closing the border. I'll give him credit for that one. He did shut off the faucet. Illegal border crossings are way down, so we're 1 for 3. How about Doge lowering spending? Spending's going up. We're gonna have the highest budget ever. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
This is the Trump administration 100 days in.
Yep. Shrinking the Pentagon. Nope. We're going to have the first $1 trillion.
So shrinking the Pentagon, are we talking about physically like the building or their budget? Because if anyone did their best at shrinking the Pentagon, it was the Taliban.
Heyo. Is it too soon? Too soon?
Dude, it's been...
Shut the fuck up, Donnie. You've done a hell of a lousy job.
It's been, what was that? 24 goddamn years.
Yeah, dude, I think we warned of this prior to the election and certainly prior to Trump's inauguration on January 20th. We've said it once, and we have to qualify it because I think a huge portion of MAGA is just as big of snowflakes as any liberal out there. If you say anything about their dear leader, they will come after you and blame it on Joe Biden. To be fair, liberals would do the same in the other direction. So,
oh yeah, Trump was blamed for shit for the whole 4 years of Biden's administration. Are you kidding me?
The qualifier is this. I'm still not mad at you for voting for him. I get it. What'd you say? Oh,
yeah, no, I said for 4 years, like before January 20th of 2025, a ton of shit was blamed on Trump. Now it's 2025, post January 20th. It's April 30th as it's recording. And everyone's blaming Biden. Everyone's blaming Biden.
Yeah. The Amazon fiasco that went on over the last couple of days. I have that in my notes too. We got to talk about
figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
God, I miss them, don't you?
Yeah, so much. In some ways, I do. I mean, come on. It was comedic gold. Look at, so articles of impeachment. Look at this Hindu Jimmy Fallon on the screen right now.
Yeah, it looks like Jimmy Fallon with brown face.
By the way, it really does. By the way, a Detroit representative. We are actually very, very familiar with Shri Thanedar because he famously ran for governor. Was it in 2018?
And he ran a masterful political. What was it during the Super Bowl or something? But he had a masterful fucking political ad campaign. And then everyone found out that he abandoned a building with a bunch of dogs that were experimented on.
Yeah, he was busted for experimenting on beagles. What a winner this guy is.
Specifically beagles.
So he ran in the Democratic primary for the governor of Michigan against Gretchen Whitmer. I think it was 2018. It was the year she first got elected.
Yeah. It was Abdu Sayed, Shri Thanedar, Gretchen Whitmer. Who else ran for governor? Bill Schuette.
I don't even. Yeah, Bill Schuette was the Republican candidate.
There was another Republican candidate. I forget his name, but I was like, I'd rather him than someone else.
Anyway, Shri Thanedar decided to offer up articles of impeachment against Donald Trump. And I have to point out something that was very astutely pointed out by Douglas Murray enemy Dave Smith on his latest episode. And I thought this was just it was so on point. He goes, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he goes, every time Trump fucks up, Democrats are always like, here, hold my beer while I fuck things up. Even worse, instead of just letting Trump bury himself. And it's so true. They do this every single time from a political perspective. Every time.
It takes them a year and a half to realize that. If you remember, it took them a year and a half to realize that. Then all of a sudden they boot and rallied. And then during Trump's first presidency, during the midterms, the fucking House and Senate get overturned to Democrats. Yeah. And that's what's going to happen again. Watch. I bet you it's going to happen again.
And this is just one issue, right? Because we just talked a little bit in the last segment about the way Trump is just completely botching this whole deportation fiasco. His approval rating just continues to fall because not just because of that, but because of tariffs. Those are probably the two biggest things. The lack, maybe the inability to get out of Ukraine. And then obviously for some people, it's the Israel issue. But immigration and tariffs are the two big things. And they could have just sat there and let Trump fall on his face. But no, they trot out Hindu Jimmy Fallon here, Shri Thanedar, the dog killer, to offer up articles of impeachment. We'll just play Shri's video here.
This is Congressman Shri Thanedar.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of obvious
Trump
jokes.
Has already done real damage to our democracy, but defying a unanimous 9-0 Supreme Court ruling. That has to be the final straw. It's time we impeach Donald J. Trump.
I'm going to stop right there.
First off, I forgot his voice was that high of an octave. So like,
yeah,
a surprise.
And I think it's arguable that Trump hasn't necessarily defied that court order yet, because all the Supreme Court said was that he has to be allowed back into the country. Yeah, Liberty Twitcher says that's a real person. I thought it was an SNL skit. Yeah, he's Hindu Jimmy Fallon. I understand why you thought that.
Yeah, it's Jimmy Fallon doing brown face. Nope, that is a real person. He ran for governor in our here lovely state of Michigan, the Dirty Mitten, and he lost because they found out that he owned a company that was doing animal testing on beagles, and then something happened with the lease. And
abandoned the beagles,
and the beagles were in fact abandoned in the house or in the building, and like PETA or some company or some organization snuck in there. And
was it PETA? PETA doesn't actually do anything. It was probably
PETA would just euthanize them. You're right. It was probably Detroit Dog Rescue
or the White Coat Waste Project. But he's saying that Trump defying a 9-0 court order if that's just the final straw. That's just the final straw. We have to offer up articles of impeachment. First of all,
kind of a big deal, right? What was the 9-0 court order?
But it was that what's his name? The guy who was sent to the El Salvador prison. I'm bad with names. Needs to be brought back to the United States. Well, all the court orders said was that he needs to be let back into the United States. If El Salvador doesn't give him back, technically Trump's not defying a court order there from the Supreme Court.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
At least that's the way I see it.
Gotta love law.
At least that's the way I see it.
Tell him to Uber back.
And it's like, you're going to offer up articles of impeachment based on is horrible as I think that case is, and is horribly wrong.
Oh yeah, what's his name? I don't even remember his name.
He's going to say it in a second. I keep forgetting the guy's name.
The court said the wrongfully deported Kilmer Garcia.
There you go.
Must be allowed to return
Garcia
and receive due process.
Yeah. So, regardless of how you feel about it, which I thought it was the wrong decision.
Yeah. Nope. I think the 14th Amendment says any person within the jurisdiction of the United States.
But to offer up articles of impeachment because Trump wronged one person. Like, that's the standard we're going with right now?
That wasn't supposed to be here. like on the grand scheme of things, even though like I'm still due process. The courts find out someone not supposed to be here, send them home with a little goodie bag like we give 5-year-olds at a birthday party. And here's some snacks. So here's some pretzels, some peanuts. Here's a plane ride. You can ride business. You're out of here. I have nothing to argue. There's nothing to stand on other than some sort of emotional thing. Like if I'm trying to be objective about it, right? But to not
look like he has dead eyes, by the way. He's got some dead eyes.
He does. I think that hair's
ignored
fake.
The Constitution. He ignored the very checks and balances that keep our democracy intact. This isn't an isolated incident. It's part of a dangerous, deliberate pattern. That's why today I introduced a resolution to impeach Donald J. Trump, outlining 7 articles of impeachment.
Pause it real
Article
quick.
1, obstruction of justice and
Another thing I find
executive power.
I just wanted to let him read Article 1. Go ahead.
One thing I find really funny is how when Barack Obama was president, a bunch of people on the right would say Barack Hussein Obama. They would say their full names, and then people would be like, oh, he used his middle name. But now, whenever they're talking about Trump, they always whenever it's something serious, they're like Donald J. Trump.
Is that because John is an extra white name, and back then we had to emphasize the brownness of Barack Obama's middle name? Now we have to emphasize the
never mind the first name Barack
or Obama.
Barack just immediately makes me think of fucking Mortal Kombat. But which, I mean, I never paid too much attention to that character's skin color. He was a little brown, but he just had blades for hands. I thought he was cool. But
From
yeah, this
denying due process to unlawful deportations, Trump defied court orders. Article 2, taking away Congress's power of the purse. Trump dismantled agencies and froze funds without permission from Congress.
Whoa!
Article 3, abuse of trade powers and international aggression. He imposed damaging tariffs and threatened military invasions of our allies. Article 4, violation of First Amendment rights. He has retaliated against journalists, attorneys, and critics for exercising their right to free speech. Article 5, creation of an unlawful office establishing the so-called Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, and giving Elon Musk unconstitutional power over our government and personal data.
That didn't happen. Elon Musk has no power.
Here's where he fucked up, man. He could have just gone after him under the first. Well, no, he made it too big, and this is what frustrates me about a lot of politicians. They make these bills so big that people have no choice but voting against it, and then they can go, "Oh shucks, well I tried," right? And
good guys, vote for us next time so we can try again.
I feel like there's a ton of people just based on the freedom of speech part that have been like, "Yeah, no, you're right. He definitely violated the First Amendment." But then you add on all this other shit that's like convoluted and very subjective, like understandable, but subjective based on, like based on how you feel, like if your ideology leans left or right. But like even the 14th Amendment, like again, we've argued about that on this show. Like 14, like I'm drafting an article of impeachment because Trump has violated the 14th Amendment and the First Amendment, and here's why. But instead, you use all this shit that like no one's gonna vote for this because there's too much in it. It's like an omnibus bill.
Yeah,
and the inverse effect, right? Like an omnibus bill, everyone ends up voting for it because it has one little thing that they all like in it. But this is like a what was the bill we were criticizing? Geez, probably at this point like a year ago. It was like one of the stock banning bills that they say we're gonna ban stocks, but then they earmark and add a shit ton of pig fat to it with all these other shit to where all of a sudden everyone votes against it and they're like, oh well, chance we tried.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you designed the bill to fail. He's designing this impeachment to fail.
Well, it's already designed to fail. Like this is the guy you're going to like. I'm sorry to say this, but like this is the guy that you're going to have offer articles of impeachment based on, at least in part, on deporting immigrants. Like this is the guy. Like, do you not see the optics here of a guy who is an immigrant, doesn't speak great English, and like this is the guy that's going to convince a Republican Congress to impeach a Republican president? What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like again, theater. It's all
so
theater.
What he's doing is the same as what Cory Booker did. It's just all about creating relevancy with your name to try to get up to the next ratchet of getting the next seat of power.
To me, you're absolutely right. It's not even really about impeaching Donald Trump. We're sitting here talking about it. Dave Smith talked about it on his show earlier today. Like, it's all theater. It's political theater. And because I think it was a few days ago, I heard Chuck Schumer basically say, well, we're looking, but, I don't think we're going to impeach it. Like, can I just add?
But why not, Chuck? Why not, Chucky? Because you already did it twice and it didn't fucking work.
Can I just add that, like, Donald Trump has made impeachment essentially irrelevant? Like, it's not even a powerful thing anymore.
I know. It used to be a big deal. It was a really big deal.
I mean, even when Clinton was impeached,
I don't even think he's the first, Dan. in this presidency to like introduce impeachment bills.
Probably not, but it's funny because it's Sri Tanadar. a dog murderer.
Yeah.
Like even when Clinton was impeached, I remember the discussion around that. I was like 10 years old. I wasn't that into politics yet, but I remember that very, very well because it was all over the news. And I remember all of the adults in my life being like, even Republicans in my life that were like, this is fucking stupid. They're impeaching him because he got a blowjob. No, they're impeaching him because he perjured himself in front of Congress. And it's just like, what are we arguing about? What are we arguing about?
Leave it
like,
up to Democrats to leave the door open to make impeachments trivial.
Maybe do you want to impeach him for starting an illegal war in Kosovo? With regards to Clinton, do you want to impeach Trump for, illegally bombing civilians in Yemen? Okay, now we can have a conversation. But he can't do that because they all fucking do that because they all work for the same goddamn team.
Yeah. No, like, is there like 100 days in with the way that we're trying to like withhold money, even though Congress has the power of the purse, and withhold money from like colleges because kids on their campus are saying things that the administration doesn't like? Are we illegally bombing Yemen and other countries and doing things like that? Are we killing innocents? Are we not allowing people the proper access to due process? Like all things that like legitimately are like a big deal. But see, here's the thing though. Remember, because it's all theater, it's all reality show. Like we're not living in principle right now. We're living in the reality show. Republicans tried to impeach Clinton on principle. He perjured himself. Under oath, you know what I mean? Under oath, you're not supposed to do that. It got a salacious headline of the blowjob in the in the Oval Office, which I'm sure he's not the first and I'm sure he's not the last.
What do you think? What do you think Clinton thinks about Monica Lewinsky now? Because she looks better now than she ever did back then.
It's like he probably just nudges. He probably just nudges people next to him and like, I hit that.
Wait, what were they calling her back then? Like Miss Piggy or something like that? It was a really rude, really rude things they said about that poor girl.
Miss Piggy wears dresses. She wears a dress. There was something about a dress, right?
Does she still have the dress?
I don't know.
We ever figure out where that dress went?
Like there's things, but then again, you go back to how many fucking presidents, because when you get into that nitty gritty, right, about like the constitutional overbounds and oversteps, you're well, I guess we gotta throw Biden in there. I guess we gotta throw Obama in there. You gotta throw Bush in there. You gotta throw Clinton. You gotta throw Bush Sr., Reagan, Carter.
It's like, you notice how they didn't bring articles of impeachment against Trump the first time around when he was illegally bombing brown people halfway across the world? No, because they all do that.
Right.
They all have to find some theatrical.
It was when he goes
reason.
out on a limb and goes further than any of them have gone, and they're like, "Oh, here we go. Now we got him. He's talking.
We got him this time. He's dead in the water now." You know what's funny? It's like I'm going to die laughing if I turn on like CNN in the next week and they're playing Sri Tanadar and they're going, "Oh, looks like we got him now. Looks like we got you don't have him." First of all, you don't. First of all, good luck convicting. Second of all, you're impeaching him for all the wrong reasons.
Mission accomplished.
You're impeaching him for all the wrong reasons. Impeach him for illegally bombing people. Impeach him for sending your tax dollars to Ukraine and Israel. Impeach him for those things. Maybe the American people will listen. Anyway, do you want to watch the rest of this?
Yeah, why not?
There's like another minute left of Hindu Jimmy Fallon here.
It's just so frustrating, right?
Article
because
6.
like, God damn it.
Bribery and corruption. He has dismissed criminal cases and solicited payments from foreign governments and coerced legal
Somebody get Sri a glass of water
for personal and political gain.
You mean the thing that every politician does? Okay.
Tyrannical overreach. Finally, and most importantly, he is attempting to consolidate unchecked power and erode the constitutional limits of the presidency.
Again, you mean the thing that every president has done since Woodrow Wilson, at least?
In this
At
country,
least.
we have presidents, not kings. That's not just misconduct, it's impeachable misconduct.
Did Chuck Schumer write this
isn't
speech?
Leadership is tyranny. If we let this stand, we are saying the president is above the law, that the United States Constitution is optional. I won't be silent, and I'm calling on all my colleagues, Democrats, Republicans, and independents, to stand up with me. Enough is enough. Donald J. Trump must be impeached.
Well, you better get up on a step stool there, Shree, because I don't think you're going to be able to tower over any of them. It's just such nonsense.
It's
such
what frustrates me about it is like we're at the point now where it's like, yeah, he's doing some shit like for you and I who are principled, like based on things like the Constitution. Like it's like, yeah, there are definitely things where you could like go after him. But it's never the shit that you and I fucking care about. And maybe that's being selfish. Maybe that's like, I don't know, like yeah, it's frustrating because now that he's doing this one that has all this bluster around it and all this bullshit, and even though there's already things that we could like constitutionally be like, yeah, you know, Trump might not be fit for office. When he moves the field goal post even fucking further, and then like me and you are more alarmed than we are now, and then we get enough of people who are alarmed. When someone introduces an article of impeachment, it's just going to be,
yeah. It's almost like
the boy who cried wolf.
Throwing impeachment out there is the boy who cried wolf over and over again.
Damn, the fucking Aesop fables are just as relevant today as they were back then.
Impeachment
I don't know.
Is a word that doesn't mean anything anymore. Racism is a word that doesn't mean anything anymore. Just as a quick aside, I saw Caitlin Johnstone had an excellent Substack the other day. I didn't even read it. It was just the title that was excellent. It said, anti-Semitism is a word that doesn't mean anything anymore, because now when somebody calls you an anti-Semite, you have to ask which kind. Which kind of anti-Semite? Are you talking about the Hitler was right type of anti-Semite, or are you talking about I said Bibi Netanyahu's wiener is really small type of anti-Semite? She's right. Yeah. She's 100% right.
Yeah. And
stop using these words like this.
I want to give myself some props real quick, because when I said the boy who cried wolf, and then I was like, yeah, you know, it's fucking Aesop. You know, I said the whole thing about the Aesop fables being as relevant today as they were back then. I was right. Boy who cried wolf was an Aesop fable.
Yeah.
Not the Brothers Grimm. So I was just happy about
it. Fucking white people.
I'm so good sometimes. I impress myself sometimes, damn.
You care at all about this Canadian election?
I just know the Canadian Liberals pulled a chapter out of the Democratic playbook and it said Orange Man bad. And
dude, the only difference is, and I'm not meaning, I don't mean this as an accomplishment to the Liberal Party in Canada. They just did it way better than the Democrats did it. It turns out that Mark Carney getting elected is not, it wasn't even about the tariffs. It was because of Trump's 51st state comments. Like, Trump didn't realize that Canadians actually have a little bit of national pride. They were like, we're not. And so what they did was they dumped Trudeau, very similar to the way that the Democratic Party dumped Joe Biden. The biggest thing that they did was they took a more Nancy Pelosi type character to replace Trudeau instead of, you know, another brain dead lunatic like Kamala Harris. And also, Canadians just seem to be a little bit easier to propagandize vis-a-vis their state-run media on the CBC. And by the way, Canadians, if you're going to take offense to that, let's not forget that Corey and I are Detroiters. We have access to the CBC right on our TVs right now. Yeah. We know what you see. We know exactly what you see. And then to top that all off.
Yeah, it's interesting. You go down, like, we get CBC here, and you go to the West Coast, you get Wisconsin.
Pierre Poilievre, the conservative leader who is gaining all sorts of come-ups, completely lost his seat.
Mm-hmm.
He's gone. He's completely gone. A total 180. All because like conservatives could have actually had a chance to take over Canadian government if Trump just hadn't opened his big fucking mouth.
If he just
isn't that amazing? I don't know. It's amazing and it's hilarious at the same time.
Yeah. Trump is only good for himself.
Mm.
We've talked about that on this show multiple times. He's terrible for the Republicans.
Yes, he is.
He's only like Trump is only good for the Trump brand.
Well, and that's the whole thing. It's like, yes, Trump has an R on his name or next to his name, but the thing that like people like you and I know that normie Democrats and normie Republicans don't realize is that in so many ways, Trump is not a Republican. He at least feigns populism. And in certain ways, I think he really is a populist. In other ways, I think he's really fucking bad at being a populist. But they, the normies, they just see that R and they think, well, that's the Republican Party. That's what they chose. It's not. It's not what the Republican Party chose. The Republican Party just knew they had to go with it in order to win an election. And that's the exact reason why a nitwit like Carrie Lake can't win an election in Arizona. It's the reason why so many other MAGA Republicans lose their elections in these state and congressional and gubernatorial races. The only ones that won was J.D. Vance, and that was only because when he was elected to the Ohio Senate, he kind of took his Trumpism a la carte, if you will. Like he was smart about it because, I mean, I've said this before on the show. I don't think J.D. Vance is a stupid man. I think he's a smart man who says really stupid things quite often, actually. And then you have Marjorie Taylor Greene. Like no Senate races, some House races, right? Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert. There's others, and then there's others that were never Trumpers that like cucked out to MAGA and ended up winning their elections. But nobody runs a Senate gubernatorial, Senator gubernatorial race like Donald Trump ran his presidential run and wins. They never win. They always lose every time. Kristi Noem, maybe, but I don't think she was always a MAGA person either. I could be wrong about that. Maybe Kristi Noem. Anyway, that was a little bit of an aside. What do you think about this Virginia Giuffre suicide? Is it Giuffre or Giuffre? I don't know how to pronounce her name.
I'm just gonna say Virginia Giuffre.
I have,
but that one's awfully interesting.
I don't know as much about this as you do, Corey. I'm going to tell you what I know. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what I know.
I just know that this girl was like the star witness in one of the Epstein cases. Even though he was dead because he committed suicide in a prison cell under suicide watch on solitary confinement, and the cameras ended up to break right during it happened. Right, whatever. Brush it off. It was all coincidental. But this other girl who was like a star witness and all of that debacle tweeted like I don't know how many years ago it was, but it was right when I first started to pop off. She tweeted, "My name is Virginia Giuffre. I am not suicidal and I will never be suicidal." And gave the whole spiel. Like if I die and someone says it's suicide, like question it. Well, apparently she just committed suicide and none of the media is touching it.
Yeah. Nobody of any relevance. And so this actually,
some of these big media like outlets might have just made a headline that said that, but like they didn't push it. It's not being ran with. None of the mainstream media is talking about it. Like they might have made the headline to say that they made the headline for plausible deniability, but it wasn't promoted or propagated or.
To add a little more context to this, her allegation was that she was basically passed around like a hash pipe for 3 years She had allegations against Prince Andrew.
Mhm.
And about a month ago, she was in a bus accident in England. And she made some social media post while she was in the hospital about, her kidneys were failing. She had 4 days to live. She said she just posted that because she wanted her kids to come see her. It's just this weird thing. And then with regards to the bus accident, people that are from the same area were like, yeah, I saw the accident. Like, it wasn't that bad. Like, she claimed it was going, people keep confusing because they see the number 110 kilometers per hour. It's about 70 miles per hour. Bus going that fast through a neighborhood. So it's one of those things like, okay, so do you fall on the conspiracy theory side
going
where
that fast in the neighborhood for?
that's the thing. There doesn't appear to be a whole lot of evidence that it was going that fast. And she had the pictures that she had on the social media post, she had like black eyes and like a bruised face. And people that are familiar with were intimately involved in the bus crash story. There were people that were saying things like, yeah, we don't think those injuries were necessarily caused by that bus accident. There's just a lot of weird stuff going around about this. And this was not
more
that long
about
ago.
it than me even.
Yeah, only because I hear it on my on a couple of my culture comedy podcasts that I listen to. And so a lot of what I'm saying is probably not 100% accurate. I don't have it all in front of me, but this is like, I know I'm in the ballpark, I guess is what I would say. And then to tack on to your story about how she tweeted she wasn't going to commit suicide. Now all of a sudden she's committed suicide. Yeah,
I mean, anyone could say that I'm not going to commit suicide and then commit suicide
and then do it.
the next. Yeah.
Well, my whole thing was this, right? Like, because for the longest time, like the royal family and people around Prince Andrew, they just brushed her off as like a quack lunatic. Which when you're somebody in power, like we've seen it often, that works. It really does. Like it works a lot. Like
they're just wild. They're just some fan.
Yeah, like,
but then that's probably what Selena said.
Yeah, Jesus. Too soon.
Yeah, her Selena's anniversary just came up recently, right?
So I don't know, dude.
I don't think they celebrate like it's like
it's not exactly something I have written on my calendar every year.
You don't? I just don't have my calendar in front of me.
But I guess my point is, like, if you're gonna go with the more like classical narrative of that, like, okay, yeah, she this was a suicide. It's kind of easy to defend, right? Because it's like, why, like, you've been brushing this woman off as a quack for so many years, a loon for so many, like, why can't you just keep doing that? Like, do you need to off her? I guess I don't really see what the point is. Even if her allegations are correct, it's worked this long. Why would it all of a sudden just stop working?
Yeah, I don't know.
This is the problem with conspiracy theories, man.
They should have just offered her money like the Macrons did to Candace Owens.
Yeah. It's the problem with conspiracy theories. The wacky ones make the plausible ones seem more wacky. Don't we know that to be true?
Yes.
Very true,
Anyway, you have anything else you want to add to that? Just weird. It's weird.
Yeah, it's a little weird. It's weird when someone like says explicitly, "I'm not going to commit suicide," and then does, because it cuts across the grain of anyone else I know who is suicidal, because they're always like, "I'm just good." Like they're pretty open about it, right? They're like, because a lot of times in the beginning it's a cry for help, and then they finally do it, and a lot of times they're like, "I'm gonna fucking kill myself." It's never somebody that's like, "Guys, I know you guys might think I might be suicidal, but I'm not. Relax. I'm not going to kill myself." That person kills himself a whole lot less than the person who's constantly going, "That's it. I'm opting out."
You want to talk about this Amazon, this war between Amazon and Trump?
I don't know much about it. but for a government to make statements and freak out and say a bunch of shit about a private company making just a statement on their website and interfering with the free market sounds awful a lot like socialism.
Okay, I hadn't come at it from that angle.
The brass tacks of socialism, right, is the government kind of deciding which companies pass and fail based on subsidies and taxes, right? And that's socialism in a nutshell.
I hadn't really come at it from that angle, but that's an interesting way to look at it. So Amazon had allegedly had stated that they were going to start putting tariff costs on like listing it on Amazon when you go to buy products. Now, Amazon has since backtracked on that after Bezos met with Trump. They said, no, it was only going to be listed for like certain suppliers and it wasn't going to be on the Amazon website and yada, 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 yada. But as soon as this stuff breaks out, and this is the problem with Twitter, you've got morons and fucking right-wing midwits like Jack Posobiec tweeting out things like, this is an all-out war by Amazon against the Trump administration.
I didn't know he was a socialist.
Like catastrophizing everything. Like the same shit.
Dude, it is. Like, so that was an off-the-cuff response to you initially. Because, like, when I saw that, that was one of, like, you know, like, you see it often on our show now. And if anyone listens, Dan will bring up a topic like this. And it's just something that's just kind of out of left field for me. And I'm just not even paying attention to it. It's like, that's whatever. I don't give a shit about that. And that's pretty much what this one was. It was, like, right in my ballpark of, like, oh, Amazon did this. And then the government was like, oh, and I'm like, oh, that's all fucking stupid. And that's kind of how I looked at this. But then, like, honestly, no, this is literally just socialism. The government influencing the free market. The government, like, trying to influence Amazon, especially because Amazon also has, you know, it's Jeff Bezos at the top. He has Amazon. He has, what's his, not SpaceX, it's Blue Origin. And then he has the Washington Examiner, not the Washington Examiner, the Washington Post.
Yeah.
So he has all of these other businesses all throughout different industries. So he has to double down and just try to make the administration in power happy. So he doesn't fuck with his bottom line. And the idea of the government and a business entity, like whatever you have to say about Amazon and whether or not you want to say they're a monopoly, it's an oligarchy, he's one of the elites doing all of this. A private industry now having to rely on the approval of the administration that's currently in charge because he can either fuck them with taxes or make their company bigger with subsidies is fucking socialism.
Corey, it's deeper than even just socialism. It's the type of socialism that we've seen for a long time. It's one of like the few things that Bernie Sanders is right about. It's corporate socialism. We've been dealing with this forever.
Yeah, crony capitalism, as Ron Paul would call it, and oligarchy is what Bernie Sanders would call it. Yeah, it's calling a spade a spade.
And let's make no mistake about any of this, because this isn't like a defense of Amazon per se, because Amazon has already come out and demanded that suppliers, they're at war with their own suppliers because they've demanded that suppliers eat all the tariffs, and they can do that because they're such a powerful logistics entity that they can say, we're just not going to carry your product on Amazon if you don't eat all the tariffs. So who do the tariffs hurt? As we know, it's the middle class. It's the suppliers. It's the mom and pop e-commerce places. Once again, the big guys don't get hurt and the small businesses suffer. Does that sound familiar? Does that sound a little bit like what happened through the CARES Act when during COVID, you couldn't go to your mom and pop sporting goods store to buy a fishing pole to take your son fishing, but you could go to Walmart and get one. You could go to Dick's Sporting Goods and get one.
You can go to Cabela's.
You could get one. You could go. You could get one. You could get one off of Amazon. but you couldn't get one from the mom and pop shop because it was too dangerous. So who made out like bandits through a lot
Dad,
of the COVID
are you
policy?
alluding to the greatest upward transfer of wealth in American history?
Oh,
COVID?
yes. America first. Let's bring back manufacturing in 2 decades and destroy the middle class even further. So I'm going to play Caroline Levitt's brain dead response to this question.
Morning that Amazon will soon display a little number next to the price of each product that shows how much the Trump tariffs are adding to the cost of each product. So isn't that a perfect crystal clear demonstration that it's the American consumer and not China who is going to have to pay for these policies?
I will take this since I just got off the phone with the president about Amazon's announcement. This is a hostile and political act by Amazon. Why didn't Amazon do this when the Biden administration hiked inflation to the highest?
Why didn't Amazon do this when Biden did this thing? Like the fucking deflection. The fucking deflection. First of all,
oh my God,
there's a couple reasons why this is a brain dead response. One is the fact that tariffs are like really easy to calculate in that way. Like you can't just like,
dude, it wasn't even Amazon.
Hold on. Let me just say this. By the way, her terms are acceptable. Like if you want, or if you're calling for, obviously there would be no legal way for Caroline Levitt or for the Trump administration to make this happen. But if what you're calling for is for retailers to be more transparent about what I'm actually paying for when I buy an item, how much of it is tax, how much of it is tariffs, how much of it is certain inflationary things, by all means, please, I would love to see all of those things when I go to buy a product. Yeah, oh God, this was. Anyway,
And then what I was about to say is, go ahead and pause it real quick. It's not even all of Amazon. It was basically Amazon's competitor to Temu and Shein. Like it was like a subset of Amazon. It wasn't even everything on Amazon. It was like the direct buyer to consumer thing that like Temu does and Shein does.
40 years. And I would also add that it's not a surprise because as Reuters recently wrote, Amazon has partnered with a Chinese propaganda arm. So this is another reason
here we
go. I printed this out of my printer. That's probably like a Samsung.
Critical supply chains here at home to shore up our own critical supply chain and boost our own manufacturing here.
Is Jeff Bezos still a Trump supporter?
Look, I will not speak to the president's relationships with Jeff Bezos, but I will tell you that this is certainly a hostile and political action by Amazon. And Secretary, if you have anything.
Oh my God.
And I want to add that yes, Jeff Bezos is still a supporter of Trump because he immediately removed this from his Amazon fucking website.
Yeah, again, because why be transparent about where the costs are coming from? When you and Sagar and Jetty made this point when he was talking to Ryan and Emily on last night's show, which is where China's doing the exact opposite. They're being very transparent about this. They're being very transparent about their costs, where they're coming from, where their people are, and essentially what their people are paying for. It's like the prices are going to go up, but you can't know how or where it comes from. Why? Because that would really, really hurt Trump's popularity. Because everybody with any semblance of economic acumen knows what these tariffs are going to do. They're going to cost you and myself more money.
They're going to raise prices.
The last thing I want to add is this, because I've seen this defense a lot, which is, well, it's a 10% tariff. It's just a 10% increase. They people actually think that that with a 10% tariff, if they paid $1 for something yesterday, that tomorrow it's going to cost them $1.10. That is not how this works.
No, it's compounded.
It's absolutely compounded.
It's 10% on the bottle. Like, okay, like would you use an example like a soda pop, like whatever, like $1.
Well, and all of the components.
Let's use a soda pop. Yeah, let's use a soda pop as an example. It's 10% on the bottle itself, right? It's 10% on the label that's made. It's 10% on the cap. It's 10% on the distribution. It's 10% on every single fucking ingredient that's within the compounded fucking liquid that you're drinking, the carbon, the fucking sucrose, the fucking, all the different flavors. Everything is 10%. So it's not 10% on you. It's 10% on everything that goes into the product that's made.
And it's also it's more than that too. It's just
and then it'll be like 30%, and then everyone will be like, oh, now they're price gouging.
It's a cascade. Well, they will. They will. They're taking advantage just to make Trump look bad because, dude, like MAGA, there is a faction of MAGA that just cannot say anything bad about dear leader. But it's even more than what you just said, Corey, about it being essentially a 10% tariff on all of the components of whatever it is that you're making, not just the finished product. It's also a cascade effect through the supply chain. So if the wholesale price of something increases 10%, there's a thing called markup multiplication. I work for a wholesaler. I see how this works. Distributors and retailers work on margins, and many of those margins in a lot of industries, they're already working on slim margins. So they're not going to cut into their margins at all. And if anything, because they're putting in extra work trying to adjust their supply chains, distributors and retailers, they often find new suppliers, alter packaging, etc. These things all cost money, and they all require more labor. All of these things that are going to,
even if it's a wash with the money itself, the shipping dates and all that stuff. Like so that's the thing too, right? Like, let's say they find
it's going to boost demand. It's going to boost demand and shrink supply, at least in the short term.
Let's say that they find a way to, let's say a company finds a way to just switch to a bunch of different suppliers, and it doesn't cost them any more to make it. In those couple months of volatility, they're going to be producing 50, 60, even if it's 80% of the normal product that they're actually producing, they're going to be producing less. And when they're producing less, they have less supply. Now, when there's less things, there's more demand. How do you peter demand, Dan? You raise prices.
I don't know.
Like, it's astonishing to me. Like, and in that part, when you get to that point, by the end of the supply chain, when it's about demand and it's not about the tariffs, it doesn't fucking matter if it's only a 10% tariff. It doesn't, the 10% increase on prices doesn't fucking matter. It matters on how much the consumers want it. It doesn't matter about the stagnant price, like the fixed price of a tariff, because that would be considered a fixed cost. But
we're going to see
the variable cost is based on the demand.
We're going to see that with things that are 90 to 100% produced in China. Like everyday things that people don't realize, like you're just not going to be able to get now. You're just not going to be able to get it. The cost of baby strollers, the cost of car seats. Sorry, I'm peeling off of Sagar's points again because he's about to be a dad, so he's paying attention to this stuff. Kids' toys, that kind of stuff. That stuff is all produced in China.
That's why, like, I planned on looking for a truck, and I was putting off buying a laptop. It could have taken another 2 or 3 months to get either. But the shit, all these prices and everything's about to jump up. So I invested and I made sure I just had my car before the tariffs came up. I made sure I had a laptop that's going to last me quite a bit of years.
Yeah, and you know what? The other thing too, Corey, is why is there no talk of, because every politician, Republicans and Democrats both do this. Trump does this too. Or they all do this. They all talk about how they care so much about the middle class. And then they implement policies like this that's going to hurt the middle class. It's going to hurt the mom and pop shop. It's going to hurt the e-commerce people that we talked about. It's going to hurt the suppliers.
Right. If it's the middle class, it's always, if it's the middle class, it is always, if things are going to get tough, just hang on tight.
Oh, just tighten your belt.
But whenever it's the elitists losing out on money, it's always like, government subsidies will take care of you.
The part that's never discussed is like with something like this. If you really believe, you're wrong, but let's just say you really believe that tariffs are going to have, short-term pain for long-term gain, right? That's what we keep hearing. Why are you not discussing something like, I don't know, a tax break for small businesses. For the onshoring to offset the costs of the tariffs.
So you saying that, we've been kind of dog shitting Trump here for the last hour. He good Trump. He's talking. He was recently, there was a thing about no income tax for anyone making less than $200,000 a year.
How about just no income tax?
I would like that. I mean, I'd be happy with that. I'd be happy with the $200,000 grand a year.
Corey, he can say it all he wants. It's all smoke and mirrors. How the hell are you going to play for $1 trillion Pentagon without taxing us out the ass?
Well, you just got to shrink it. You just got to get more Taliban. With a couple more planes, it'll make it way smaller.
The next one really will be an inside job.
You want to shrink the Pentagon? No problem.
I don't know. I didn't have anything else. You got some TikToks you want to run?
I got some TikToks for you.
You have some closing remarks on these tariffs.
So this first one, it has to do with Luigi Mangione.
Oh,
and I thought it was interesting because he is just saying the quiet part out loud.
Oh boy. Is it just how hot Luigi is? He's kind of been out of the news lately, that Luigi.
You think so?
Hasn't been, well, at least maybe I'm not watching enough of it. I don't know.
Before that, the federal government took over the case, and they've made Luigi Mangione is accused of having killed
You got that turned up all the way, Corey?
Before that, the federal government took over
No.
the case, and they've made clear that they will pursue the death penalty if he's convicted. On the other hand, Robert Crimo III, Luigi Mangione is accused of having killed one man in New York. Before that, the federal government took over the case, and they've made clear that they will pursue the death penalty if he's convicted. On the other hand, Robert Crimo III shot up an entire Independence Day parade in Highland Park, Illinois on July 4th, 2022. He killed 7 people and wounded 48, and the federal government refused to even get involved. I wonder what the difference between the victim in New York and all the victims in Highland Park was. If you guessed millions and millions and millions of dollars, you'd be right.
Worthy and unworthy victims, Corey.
That's literally what I was about to say. Worthy and unworthy victims. That video was awfully quiet, and I hope it plays through the actual. I hope that it through the.
It'll come through in the audio. I'll fix it. Don't worry. I'll fix it in post. Be okay. But yeah, isn't it interesting too when you talk about worthy versus unworthy victims? You have the cultural worthy versus unworthy victims, and then in this case, you have the financial or powerful worthy versus unworthy victims.
Yeah. So the hypocrisy of it. I just found it interesting.
Oh, boomers.
Yep.
This guy's going to shit on boomers. I'm here for
Talk
this.
to strangers on the internet. Don't give out any personal information, and don't believe everything you see. Wow. These shrimp got together in the ocean and made Jesus. God is good. Wow.
So for those just listening, the gentleman on the screen was the first scene was a boomer telling you as a kid not to believe everything you see on the internet, and then there was just an AI picture of shrimp or a bunch of fish making Jesus under the ocean. Dude, it's so true. But it's not even just the internet.
Have you ever seen that? Have you seen boomers believe that shit?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, I was going to add to that because it's not even just what they see on the internet. It's the fact that they're the only ones that are still watching CNN and Fox News. So when you have these conversations with boomers about what's going on in the real world, like when a boomer will say to me, well, the Houthis are just a dirty damn terrorist group. The idiot box that I watch every day told me so. They still oddly trust
everything
it.
you see on the internet, but then they believe the mainstream media.
Or like in this case, when a boomer will share something on Facebook and it's clearly parody, they'll share a Babylon Bee article. It's just be like, damn, fucking liberals. Can you believe this? Can you believe they're dressing this clown up like a girl? Wait, there are girl clowns. I think you know what I was getting at. Didn't have enough time to prepare that joke. It's so true, man. Boomers are just like, oh God.
Boomers are absolutely insane. Like it's just, and then the perfect example of boomers is actually this one right here that I have. I have 2 videos. This is the second one. Dog shitting on boomers.
Boomers in 1986.
Oh. The production lines based here in the U.S. to a third world country. We're all. So if we sell off all the production lines based here in the U.S. to a third world country, we're all gonna be millionaires. Listen, my dad didn't hire me when I was 16 for no reason. I'm a hard worker.
Now?
Can you believe these millennials, Kathy? You know, I started working in the factory when I was 16 years old. Maybe if they put in a little elbow grease and stopped putting avocado on their toast, they'd know what it was like to really struggle. You know, I didn't avoid serving in Vietnam for no reason, okay? I worked hard to not have to go to Vietnam.
Yeah, it's so true. Ship off all the jobs, buy up all the houses, don't give up any of your wealth, cause the massive amounts of inflation to things like higher education, obviously housing, and then yell at us for buying too many TVs and too much avocado toast, and that's why you can't afford a fucking house. This is why I can't stand boomer logic. You are the generation. Boomers, if you're listening, boomers don't listen to podcasts. But if you're listening, you destroyed this country. And by the way, you're still running it. You're still running it from CEO positions. You're still running it from government positions. And
they're all still running it, and they're blaming millennials.
Yeah, okay, sure. We can't buy a house, but, you know.
Then I have this one for you, Dan.
Well, it seems like one pope wasn't enough, huh?
Let's do 2 this time. We'll be the pope.
Give us the reins.
We don't have time for a conclave. Just pick us. We'll do the job.
We're going to put tampons in all the church bathrooms.
I don't like it. I think it's like kind of like having condoms in the bathroom.
It's way different than having condoms in the bathroom. It's a medical thing.
Is it way different or is it just different?
Way different. It's way different.
I don't like it. If you need a sermon, I'm a sermon, man.
We're going to do a freestyle with every sermon.
You don't want to pick another old bag. We're going to be doing this again in like a couple months.
No pope's ever gone to space before. We'll be the first.
We're going to break the space ceiling.
Who knows what's up there?
Heaven could be a planet.
It's not a planet. It's heaven's not.
Could be. Never know till you try.
They're going to be free. We're going to have a little basket in there.
Yeah, I just don't like it.
All sizes.
Gross. We're going to bring back the old iPhone charger. Big rectangle one.
We're going to include the Jews this time. Come on! We're all people!
Black smoke, white smoke. All smoke is dope when you're the Pope, my bro.
You make the Pope look like a fool. God will make you pay. Smite them!
I just figured out the relevancy of right now the Pope. We're gonna pick a new one. Everyone's outside just waiting for some smoke.
That's right. So weird.
As someone who never grew up Catholic, it just seems so fucking absurd that someone like that holds so much power.
Fucking idol worshippers.
It's so ritualistic, man. I don't fucking get it.
It's weird. It's weird. That's why I'm glad I'm not a Catholic anymore. Never going back. You got another one?
Nope, that's it. I was trying to keep it short this week because last week I had very, very long ones. But
you make the Pope look like a fool. God will make you pay. Smite them!
You said something there very quick that
about
like
boomers?
No, right after that, like about like the papacy and you being Catholic.
Yeah.
Breaking news. Dan isn't Catholic anymore.
It's been about, I don't know, 15 years.
Since you've been
Catholic? I am confirmed, though. I am a confirmed Catholic.
Breaking news. Dan actually hasn't been Catholic for 15 years. Oh, but wait.
Okay.
He is confirmed. He is confirmed, though.
Okay. Yep. I was never molested because I was never an altar boy. But if I had been.
Yeah, you'd be turned out.
Your
farts would sound like a goddamn bottle blowing in the wind.
Arresting me! Come on now, you expect me to believe that?
And then before we get out of here, Dan, I got one more thing to say.
I will be at Game 6 tomorrow.
I know.
The bar rail seat.
Your goddamn wife has to go, so I can't.
That's right. Bought her a brand new shirt today. We'll see. We'll see if our Pistons make it to Game 7 against the New York Knicks.
I've watched 3 games. I've watched more games of the Detroit Pistons in the last week and a half than I have in 10 years.
Well, I mean, that makes sense. They
literally starts winning. All of a sudden, you got to feel like you pay attention, right?
They're literally the first team in NBA history that tripled their win total from the season before. So, lots to like,
dude. And right. So I jump in on this shit. I'm always like a bandwagon fan, and even if they don't make it this year, they obviously have a team that can go the distance. Everyone was like, well, but can they close? They proved that they could last night. And they have such a big fucking cap, excess, money to spend, that they could just bring in an all-star next year. And
That's
then
the goal.
Right. So
I'm rooting for him.
I'm excited to see what the Pistons do.
Yeah.
Todd said, Dan, you don't have enough part in your hair to be an altar boy.
That's how you know I wasn't an altar boy. It is easy to brush back though, so we'd like it.
But all right, boys.
Why don't you tell the people where they can find us, Corey?
Libservative Podcast is found on all social media and podcast platforms. Our website is libservativeshow.com. We can be found at Libservative on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Instagram and Twitter at Libservative Pod. Our TikTok videos can be found at Libservative Podcast. And you can reach out directly at libservativepod@gmail.com. Subscribe today. And if you're trying to harass us about any sort of trivial thing, make sure to continue to use libservativemarketing@gmail.com.
Why did you give out that email? That's private.
You're right. Yeah. If you're trying to get some sponsorships, also hit up libservativemarketing@gmail.com.
Yeah. Well, Bell the Body Snatcher will hopefully be rejoining us again next week. It's been Libservative, intellectual idiots fostering political and cultural literacy, the world's smartest podcast. He, as always, has been Corey Walsh.
He's Dan Griffin.
It's been Libservative, and until next time,
we have white privilege,
and we are out of here.
The great fundamental issue now before our people. We, the people, cannot turn back. Somebody must lead, or else the fight would not be made at all.